and remain standing for a moment of silent meditation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, Mount Carmel area, and welcome back to MCA Live. I'm Hannah Benedict, and here's today's announcements. Today is Friday, January 21st, Day 4. This is the last call for any students in 7th through 12th grade to sign up for track and field in room 108. A quick reminder that hoodies are not allowed to be worn during the school day. Now here's Rachel with today's news.
Good morning. We have a weekly roundup of world events that occurred this week. First, an unprecedented disaster near Tonga caused a massive volcanic eruption and tsunami this week. On Tuesday, Tonga's government confirmed the deaths of 3 people and several other injuries. Houses of 36 people were destroyed, and extreme damage was done to Nomuku Island, home to 239 people. On Monday, organizers of the Beijing Winter Olympics announced that no tickets will be sold to the general public and only selected spectators will be allowed. The coronavirus restrictions that placed the city under lockdown caused the residents of the Chinese capital to say they are disappointed at not being able to attend the events. To stay enthusiastic for the Winter Olympics, many Chinese citizens were seen skating on Beijing's frozen lakes. The Biden administration announced this week that they will begin to make 400 million N95 masks available for free to Americans. Federal officials have been emphasizing these masks provide better protection against the Omicron variant of COVID-19 compared to cloth face coverings. These masks will be available for pickup at pharmacies and community health centers across the country. On Saturday, a man took 4 hostages, including a rabbi during services at a Texas synagogue. The FBI flew in their hostage rescue team to handle the situation, which ended with the suspect dead and the hostages safe. In response, Jewish communities in several cities across the United States heightened their security. And finally, in world news, a 19-year-old set a record yesterday as the youngest woman to successfully fly around the world. Sarah Rutherford landed her plane yesterday in Belgium, putting an end to a trip around the world that took 155 days. We'll be right back with Mia and Sports.
On Tuesday night, the MCA wrestling teams honored Coach McCollum for his contribution to the wrestling program over the years. Coach McCollum, who was a 1976 graduate from Shikellamy High School, had a successful wrestling career that earned him a scholarship to Bloomsburg University. Throughout his 4 years at Bloom, he was a 2-time national qualifier and led his team in pins in 3 out of the 4 years. He then brought his knowledge to Mount Carmel, where he coached for 28 years in the program. His record as coach of MCA was 147 wins and 117 losses. He coached 1 wrestler who won 3 state championships, 3 wrestlers who earned state medals, 3 regional champions, and 3 wrestlers who combined for 12 district championships. Mr. McCollum is currently helping put in the MCA Elementary Wrestling Program. Thank you for all your contributions to the Mount Carmel Area Wrestling Program over the years. On Wednesday evening, the boys varsity basketball team traveled to Central Columbia to take on the Blue Jays. MCA started off strong and held a 20-9 lead at halftime. In the second half, the Tornadoes played tough defense but were unable to get anything going on the offensive end. Central continued to close in on the Tornadoes' lead, coming within 1 point at the end of the third quarter. A big fourth quarter for Central put them on top at the end of the game. MCA would end up losing 39-33 in a defensive battle. Leading scorers for the Tornadoes were Garrett Verano with 10 points and Pedro Feliciano with 8 points. The boys' record now stands at 5 wins and 5 losses. Their next game will be at home on Saturday against Milton. Last night, junior high boys basketball took on rival Shamokin at home. The 7th grade team lost with a final score of 41-9. Leading scorers were Brian Feliciano with 4 and Majed Canafani with 2. The 8th grade team also faced a tough challenge from the Indians, but also came up short. The final score was Shamokin 41, MCA 38. Jude Lizicki led the Tornadoes with 21 points and Jalen Delaney added 9. Mount Carmel had one more chance to defeat the Indians in their freshman game. In another tough battle, the Red Tornadoes pulled out a victory. The final score was 47-39 Mount Carmel. Leading scorers were once again Jude Lizicki with 22 points and Michael Coletta dropped 9. Tonight in sports, varsity girls basketball will travel to Warrior Run. JV is set to tip off at 6 p.m. and varsity will follow. On Saturday, the junior high wrestling team will travel to Central Columbia for the PHAC tournament. Junior high boys basketball will host Shikellamy. The 7th grade game is set to tip off at 11 a.m., with 8th grade and freshmen to follow. Also on Saturday, the varsity girls basketball will travel to Danville. JV is set to tip off at 12 noon. Varsity boys basketball will host Milton on Saturday evening. That's all for sports. Back to the news desk.
Yesterday marked the 2-year anniversary of the first confirmed COVID case in our country. Patient 0, the first U.S., was a 35-year-old man who had just returned home to Washington from Wuhan, China. He displayed a fever, nausea, cough, and vomiting. He eventually developed pneumonia and his symptoms left 10 days later. The virus quickly marched across the country and businesses, schools, and social gatherings were largely shut down, and by May, unemployment reached their highest levels since the Great Depression. While many hoped the pandemic would have been over by now, the reality is that we are 2 years into it and variants still keep emerging. The U.S. government's latest effort to fight the virus includes providing free at-home COVID tests to all Americans and distributing 400 million free N95 masks starting next week. Former members of President Joe Biden's transition team are calling for a new long-term strategy that envisions a world in which humans learn to live with the new coronavirus. Attention seniors, if you're interested in pursuing a career in the medical field, stop in the guidance office for a scholarship application. The Primary Health Network Charitable Foundation Scholarship Program gives $30,000 in academic awards to students planning a career in healthcare or a related health field. You can get the application from the guidance office. The deadline to hand in an application is March 11th. Today's lunch is the popcorn chicken bowl, cheeseburger with mashed potatoes and gravy, corn, and diced peaches. Monday's breakfast is French toast sticks and sausage and cheese on an English muffin with assorted fruit or juice. That's all for today. Good luck to all the sports team in action tonight and over the weekend. Have a great weekend, MCA.